Oilers take it in a rout, 7-1 over the Utah Hockey Club. Woo! No Blues after road trip. The Oilers absolutely dominate in a big game, and a game that was important for both clubs as the stretch drive heats up. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the GCL Diesel Oil Stream postgame show. Tom Gazzola, Hernan, Salas with you. Reid, Wilkins will stop by a little bit later on. We may hear from Joaquin, Gage, Sean Bell, taking care of some family stuff. So Bellzy off tonight. So too is Matt Cassian. The Oilers improved to 40-24-4 after that big victory tonight down at Rogers Place to kick off a 4-game homestand. Of course, GCL Diesel, presenting sponsors of the pre- and post-game show, providers of the best diesel engine components around, turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. Join the conversation. Text us 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat as well if you're watching on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff as we break down the Oilers' big win. And they make it 3 straight victories. Hernan, Salas, let's get you on here. Nancito, not much to complain about tonight. Maybe not getting the shutout, but pretty fun night in oil country all around, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of a downer that the point streak ends for one Leon Draisaitl. But all in all, I just... I've been saying it a lot this year, Tom. If you listen to Hernan, you'll be better off. And I saw this coming from a mile away. It was too easy to predict. I kind of went a little lower. I said 5-1, but it was a 7-1 win, and they dominated. Like this game was over in the first period. I didn't want to tweet that because then people get a little upset. So I was like, just let it float out there. But this game was over. I mean, the Oilers dominated. That's their best game, since January? Maybe the Vancouver game, Tommy.
Yeah, that 6-2 win.
Yeah, so good on them. I mean, exactly what they needed to do. I did not want to hear, it's the first game from a road trip excuse. So good on them. Everybody performed. Everybody did their job. And as an Oiler fan, you got to be happy. And a lot of guys are coming, Tom. And I think that's the important thing we're seeing here. I mean, Nuge, another excellent game. Arvidsson scores. Vasily Podkolzin scores. It was just an amazing night. Like, they look great. The deep pairings look good. Darnell Nurse got in a nice little scrap. I mean, you had everything tonight. And as an Oiler fan, I better not see any complaints. Seriously. It's been a tough 3 weeks. Enjoy the damn game. They dominated from start to finish. There's really nothing to complain about, Tom. Is there? Please say no.
I would say no to that. That was a complete shellacking that the Oilers laid on the Utah Hockey Club. And you know, if there are people that are going to be like, well, it was just Utah. Utah, like we said on the pregame show, like you guys were talking about on EST Afternoons, like the morning show was talking about, like everybody was, 6-2-2 in the last 10 games.
Yeah.
They were 2 points back of a playoff spot going into action tonight. They were feeling good about their game. And they had a big win in Vancouver, and the Oilers just snuffed out any hope for Utah HC tonight, and they put a stamp on it, man. Like, that was a very thorough victory. No, Calvin Pickard does not get the shutout. He still shares a team shutout with Stu Skinner because, remember, he had his bell rung and he got taken out for a bit earlier in the season. Outside of that, though, the team just very satisfactory, very satisfying win, and then obviously performance as well. Reassuring, I suppose, too, for some that were doubting. And I'll read some. I saw Shaggy from St. Albert, who's very tough, hard to please, was pleasantly surprised. I didn't read it yet, but I just saw the first line from what Shaggy texted in, and he was like, I'm happy I was wrong.
He just came in on the nasty chat, said they got sloppy in the third, but it's 7-1.
Shaggy, come on.
Most teams
come on.
They kind of relaxed a little bit, just enjoyed. Smith TM14 victory dart for Hernan. Oh, I wish, buddy. I wish. Tom, it was such a good night. Yamork should have had 2 goals. Kapanen should have had 2 goals. Like, that's how good this night was.
Janmark had like 2 breakaways, and I'm just going to say this right now. He's saving it for the playoffs, okay?
Yes. That's because I think Kapanen hit the crossbar.
He did.
Looked to the skies. He was upset, but Ekholm looked like the Ekholm we all know here in Edmonton. He looked great. The time off did him well. Tom, yeah, like I'm saying, Tom, I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm going through the stats, and 3 for 3 on the PK, 0 for 3 on the power play. But I mean, they just, from the first 3 shifts, you knew this was the Oilers. They were all over them.
Yeah,
them.
they were.
They didn't let Vejmelka off the hook there. He got the hook. And just the performance. Great to see Nuge coming. Zach Hyman, like I said, those 2 guys are so important to this team. And if they can get hot right now, I think they're back, Tom. I think they're back.
Nugent-Hopkins, 6 points in his last 2 games.
Yeah,
I think that's good.
And that short-handed goal, Tommy, was phenomenal.
Yeah. Yes, it was. And I'm glad you brought that up because we'll go into the scoring summary and game stats from Edmonton's 7-1 victory over Utah HC. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, like Hernan said, scored a fantastic shorthanded goal at 12:28 to open up the scoring. Mikhail Sergachev had the bumble at the blue line. Nugent-Hopkins chips it off the wall. A little bit of a foot race. Looks like he was being caught up to, but the deft backhander over the blocker of Karel Vejmelka made it 1-0 Oilers. Then at 15-14, it would be Zach Hyman adding to the Oilers' lead, his 23rd of the season from Nugent-Hopkins and McDavid. Really nice play by Nugent-Hopkins. McDavid finds Nugent-Hopkins. It's the end of a power play, and Nugent-Hopkins with a nice, sneaky little toe drag to delay, give himself a lane, finds Hyman, backdoor tap in. Vejmelka, no chance to zip. Then at 19:56, Connor McDavid, just a brilliant goal. Set play. The Oilers go behind the net. They fire a puck up. Evan Bouchard at center ice with the touch pass to McDavid, who is just blasting off through the middle, goes right through both Utah defensemen and tucks home a nifty backhander for his 26 from Bouchard and Ekholm, like I said, at 19:56. 3-0 Oil. That would be it for Karel Vejmelka, who's making his 11th consecutive start for Utah. 3 goals on 14 shots for Vejmelka in 20 minutes of work. The Oilers would pour it on in the second period at 7:41. Hyman's second of the night, 24th of the season from Ekholm and McDavid to make it 4-0. Then just 2:33 later, it would, or 2:03, pardon me, later, it would be Vasily Podkolzin. Oh, no, I got my times messed up. My bad. Anyway, Vasily Podkolzin, his 7th of the year from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, 3rd point of the night for Nugent-Hopkins. Podkolzin's first goal since January 15th, you guys, since the game against Minnesota. 5-0 Oil at 9:53. Sean Durzi would break the goose egg, his 2nd of the year from Cooley and Carconi. The slapper finds its way through a screen. Calvin Pickard, 5-1 after 2. And in the third period, these 2 goals come 2:33 apart. Mattias Ekholm, his 9th of the season, at the 33-second mark to make it 6-1 from Hyman. And then Victor Arvidsson with the strip in front of Jackson Stauber and tucks it home on the backhand through Stauber to make it 7-1 at 2:36. That's how this one would end. Shots on goal tonight, 42-30 in favor of the Oilers. They lose the faceoff battle, 49.1%. The Oilers were on the dot to Utah's 50.9. Like Hernan mentioned, power play 0 for 3. They got that one right when the penalty expired from Hyman. And then the PK, the PK is climbing, by the way. It's 22nd going into action tonight. It goes 3 for 3, so that's encouraging. Good to see that there. And if you're going, yeah, but what is Utah's power play? Well, 13th in the league heading into tonight's game. 13th on the PK, 13th on the power play. Utah special teams, very respectable. Hits tonight, 22 for Utah, 18 for the Oilers. Block shots, you got 22 for Edmonton to 13 for Utah. Giveaways officially, 17 for HC, and then 12 for the Oil. Officially, 5 takeaways for Utah, 4 for the Oilers. The big numbers that matter, 7 for Edmonton, 1 for Utah. Text us 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat. Hernandez.
Yes, another 6 blocks for Jake Wallman. Excellent. That's back-to-back games. That's 12 blocks, Tommy. You know what? I am going to say I did like Nuge with Arvidsson and Podkolzin tonight. I thought they were really good. I thought they were generating. I thought they were working hard out there. Maybe that's something to watch. Now, third game in a row, Tom, he doesn't go I don't think he went nuclear. Maybe after the PK.
Just after penalties.
Because in New York, he dialed it, and against the Rangers, he dialed it back. The Islanders, he dialed it back a little bit. But today it was, and now it's easy when you're up, the amount the Oilers were. So for me, that's a big one. And it's interesting to see that he's keeping McDavid and Draisaitl apart. I think that's what a lot of fans want to see. They got to find a way to be successful with those two guys on separate lines. And it worked last year, Tom, when Knoblauch took over, right? So, and no one's saying don't go nuclear. You can at certain times, but you can't do it as much as he was doing it right before that Islander game. So just another bonus for the Oilers that they can score 7 goals when those guys are split up. Again, Pickard solid, Jake Wallman solid. Mattias Ekholm was outstanding tonight, I thought. And in a game like this, Tom, what's good? Leon Draisaitl still played 22 minutes. A lot of that is because they were trying to get him that 50th goal and keep his point streak alive. But McDavid, 1646, and that's what you want to see. Tom, I want to ask you something, though, because you're a hockey guy. What did you make of 7-1? They get a power play. Now, I know they started not the main guys outside of Draisaitl for the first 40 seconds, but then they brought in the big boys. Do you have an issue with that at 7-1?
In theory, yes. I understand why they did it, though.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to get Draisaitl 50. They wanted to keep the point streak alive. They wanted to get Hyman his hat-trick goal. But they did, let's call it, water down those power plays a little bit.
Yeah, so. Like it wasn't like I wonder what Oiler fans think of that. Like, obviously they're all going to be on board, but I wonder if it was flipped, Tommy, how they would be feeling about that. Because I kind of looked at it and I was like, ooh, that might be a bad look. Yeah. That might piss them off. Who knows?
Yeah, they kind of watered it down. And it didn't look like they were going as hard on those power plays either. So, but it for Utah, it was just one of those nights where it wasn't clicking. But yeah, in theory, you'd probably want to see Janmark, Henrique, Brown, Kapanen, whatever. But not the greatest, but whatever. I mean, we'll see if they complain about it. Utah's been playing good hockey of late, but
someone's telling you to relax, Tom. I don't know why. You're very calm right now.
Did I get upset? I'm sorry.
I don't know what's going on, but
I don't know.
Someone says, Tom Gazzola, relax.
What did I do? I don't know. I apologize. Anyway, all right. The turning point of the game. Let's get to that. Joaquin Gage will be hopping on here for the breakdown. A big thank you to Joaquin for filling in for Belzy and Cass, who both couldn't be on the post game tonight. I will do the turning point of the game. Then we'll turn it over to Joaquin for the breakdown. Turning point of the game, of course, brought to you as always by Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy. At Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy, we treat you like the pros. Our multidisciplinary team includes sports medicine physicians along with highly skilled physiotherapists, strength and conditioning coaches, and massage therapists. If you have a nagging pain you'd like to see go away, book your consultation today at www.advantagesportsmed.ca. I mean, there's so many ways you can go with the turning point of the game. I'll go into the scoring summary from tonight, and I think that the dagger was the Connor McDavid goal where he got shot out of a cannon, and that set piece was so well executed. That's when you knew the back was broken of the Utah Hockey Club. They pull Vejmelka. Edmonton comes back and scores a couple anyway on Stauber. But that 3-0 goal at the end of the first period, I think, was where you knew this was not Utah's night. So McDavid's 26th of the year off the set piece from Bouchard, and Ekholm will be your Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy turning point of the game. As we roll on, a couple of texts. Let's welcome in our game analyst for tonight, Joaquin Gage. Mike in Thunder Bay texts in, says, how the hell does this team get a 7-1 blowout win? Draisaitl still ends up breaking his point streak. Still couldn't get 50. What a bum. He's obviously past his prime now. Mike in Thunder Bay having some fun with it. AJ in Montreal says that win moves the Oilers to 5-5-2 when returning from the road. Love that emphatic win. And the Liquid Beaver says, I think they're more trying to keep the point streak alive for Draisaitl than the 50th goal. Gager, great work tonight. You handed out the jersey to the military hero. That was excellent. You and Stoff were on the panel. You looked very good. Stoff was busting out a new suit, but I still would give you the edge in looks any day of the week, to be honest with you. But we love Bob. And then on top of that, you're filling in for Balzi and Cass. So we appreciate you, buddy. All in a day's work on top of doing EST afternoons. What were your takeaways from tonight?
It's funny, again, being at the game and looking at it from a different angle, and the way it looks, at just you notice things a little bit more. I thought Stetcher had a really good game. He just seemed to be on it a little bit more, turning over pucks, a little bit more confidence coming into the zone with it as well. And Darnell Nurse was a beast in that first period. Like, I know the sequence where he got the penalty, basically, beating up two guys, but there were multiple times in that first period where he was doing things like that, and it got to the boiling point where McBain had to do something because Darnell was abusing a lot of the Utah Hockey Club players. So great job of Darnell flipping that switch and making the team think about him rather than the game itself. And there was kind of that sequence, I think, right away in the first period where Utah they had some good looks, right, in those first 7-8 minutes, with time with the puck in the slot and able to kind of tee it up. And it was and Pickard was great, man. And that one save he made, it's not really a save, but he actually intercepted the pass across by firing out the pad and then making the rebound save on that. Yeah, I think it was just his ability to keep it 0-0 for a long time, because it kind of looked like a little bit of a track meet at the start, but then Oilers just broke it open, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins keeps his great play going within being part of the 5 goals up to that point from the previous game too. And then the aforementioned, what you talked about, that set piece with Connor McDavid, that was the straw that broke Utah's back. I think just the Oilers were playing 3D chess, and Utah was just out there with, playing men's league, and they went, why didn't we actually see this and see what they were trying to do, right? So just a great game.
Joaquin,
Hernan,
sorry,
go ahead.
No, because some people in the Nats chat are saying on the panel it was brought up that maybe Bowman and Jeff Jackson alluded to splitting up McDavid and Draisaitl. Is that true, Joaquin? Or
Bob had mentioned that this was getting to be a concern. I mean, we have talked about this forever. I think you and I've embraced it. I was shocked to see that they didn't go to them. But this was a game where they could distribute the minutes a little bit more accordingly, right? Okay. But yeah, it's interesting to hear that the upper management was actually discussing that with the coaching staff, possibly. Like, this is Bob mentioned it, so maybe he had heard rumblings or was around something like this, that for this team to have success, it's not the proper recipe to bake that cake. This and finding those duels, and maybe just in doing this, guys, because I think we were talking about, God, it's too many shows, but I think it was on our show, Nansa, where we were talking about duos a little bit, or maybe it was Dusty on too. And anyways, maybe they found kind of a duo with Nugent-Hopkins and Arvidsson, right? That we haven't seen that, and they did seem to work quite well together. So in trying to look at different things, maybe something else blossoms for the Edmonton Oilers, because say what you want, Nugent-Hopkins is a completely different player than what we've seen for the past few months.
Three points tonight, 6 in his last 2 games. The Oilers have a 3-game winning streak now, and 2 points back of the Vegas Golden Knights. The one thing I was going to point out, Gage, you were talking about the interception that Pickard made. He didn't get credit for the save on that. He made a great save on a redirection where it came from the slot and he got his arm out there. I was like, ooh, that might be huge. I almost gave that the turning point of the game, but he was solid really early on. Is it a kick in the pills that he didn't get the shutout, or can he get past that?
I don't. It's a cherry on top, Tommy. But I mean, 7-1 win still a pretty sweet Sunday, right? So I don't think it's that big a deal. He played well. Not tough game to play too, in a sense, because you're busy in the first. Mm-hmm. The goal that was scored. I mean, they had to do something special to get the puck past him. Like, to try to see that puck is almost impossible. Yeah. And he made some good saves in the third too, right? So very solid outing from Pickard. And I know I still think Stuart Skinner should have started this game. Calvin Pickard keeps proving himself as one of the best number twos in the league.
Yep, absolutely. 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube. It is The Breakdown with our game analyst, Joaquin Gage, brought to you by South Fort Chev. We're officially in Truck Month, which comes with a deeper discount and lower interest rates on Silverados and HD, 0% for up to 72 months on Silverado Custom and Custom Trail Boss, the Silverado built in Canada. 90-day payment deferral or $10,000 cash back with the purchase of a new vehicle. Conditions do apply. See dealer for details at www.southfortchev.com. Drive a little, save a lot at South Fort Chev. Gazzola, Gage, and Salas with you. The Oilers win at 7-1 over Utah Hockey Club. They have a 3-game heater. This text I love says, 2 is a streak, dickheads. Classic. Jake from Ontario says, guys, they win 7-1 and Skinner gets ripped on. Some fans, I tell you, both goalies have been great the last couple of games. Joaquin, you were saying you would have liked to see Skinner. We're obviously going to see him on Thursday night. I just like the fact that both guys seem to be waking up right now after, a lot to be desired from in the past couple of weeks from both goalies. They had some tough games, obviously, but I think now is the time. It feels like, and being around the room today, talking to some of the guys, because it feels like it's been forever. You get that sense that even if talking to Adam Henrique, I was like, seems to be a decent vibe around here. It's like, we know we need to get our asses in gear. It's that time of year. And now, although it's been slow to kind of get there, feels like it's starting to kick in. And I think tonight puts an emphasis on that. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Yeah. And I look back to that post-game interview with Adam Henrique after the New Jersey game, right? So, and he was mentioning how his tone was measured, I found, and how he explained that, look, we know what to do, but when we see that, well, yeah, you know what to do, then do it, right? So, and maybe just the magnitude of the situation. And I do think, and Nanso and I were talking about this today, when you looked at tonight's out of town scoreboard with the other teams in action. Yep. There were a lot of ramifications for wins tonight, and places could have moved around a lot depending on which team won. So this is an exciting time of the year. I find, just because of that issue, where you can't tell me that in the Edmonton Oilers dressing room before the game, it wasn't talked about saying, look, these guys are going well. They're trying to make the playoffs. If we don't bring our game, we're going to get eaten up by this team, right? Mm-hmm. And I think just the fact that Pickard was able to stifle them early and had let the Edmonton Oilers play with the lead, get out to a 2-goal lead early. And again, I think we were all discussing today how the last, that Rangers game, it did seem more like that Oilers team that it didn't matter if it was a 1-goal hockey game,
right? And
they looked comfortable being uncomfortable in that type of situation where they were going to find a way to take that game home. And with solid play without the puck and getting in shooting lanes, making good decisions with the puck. Like, I can't remember. And granted, Utah they fell apart after a while. They were in shambles, but I can't remember a better game in the neutral zone that the Edmonton Oilers have played with their back pressure. Right?
Yep.
Like, when have we seen that they're retrieving pucks, and not only that, turning on the afterburners and reattacking with purpose. And if there was an opportunity to get the puck to the net, they weren't deferring and looking for something perfect. I really think something was said about that to this team, to a man. That look, guys, we got to quit passing up these opportunities to shoot the puck. And I think that's why you saw them be able to put so many up tonight, because no one was afraid to shoot the puck and have to defer to someone else because they didn't think they could score. I liked it with traffic. I mean, Hyman being Hyman again. Scoring those Zach Hyman type goals. Everyone was around it. It was great.
A couple greasy ones there.
The big test is to follow this up. You get Winnipeg, who's getting whooped right now in Vancouver. A little surprising by that score. 5-2 in the third period right now for the Canucks. So that's the big test. Play the right way, everything on net, keep the two big boys split up, and we'll see what happens against a very good Winnipeg Jets team that's going to be angry on Thursday coming in here. Probably going to see Hellebuck. So I think that's the perfect team, guys, to play after a 3-game win streak. You beat 2 non-playoff teams, and one that was kind of on the border there in the New York Rangers. Taking nothing away from the Oilers, they've been really good the last 2 games, but I'm intrigued to see if they can continue what they had tonight in that game against a much better opponent on Thursday.
Really quickly, and you guys were talking about it, out-of-town scores, and it was kind of neat listening to you guys talk about it on EST Afternoons. Gager, you would say you would look at the out-of-town scoreboard during games. I always wondered that about players, and I know sometimes guys talk about it, but it can change the way you play, I suppose, or your mentality. And I know tonight was one where the Oilers could put it into cruise control, but Calgary did win in New York 2-1. You also have, like you guys were talking about, 5-2 Vancouver leading Winnipeg in the third, and St. Louis beat Nashville 4-1. So for Utah, this game was huge,
massive.
Yeah, and they had been playing good, and then the Oilers want to close the gap with Vegas, and they needed these points just as much, and they get the job done. So that's a feather in their cap. All right, Gager, you've had a busy day. You've been a busy boy, so I'll just ask you your thoughts going into this game against Winnipeg on Thursday night.
Couldn't come at a better time, right? That's how I look at it. Getting a few guys with some extra points. Arvidsson getting to 10 goals. I think that's encouraging. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins playing his best hockey of the year. Lee, we say that the Winnipeg Jets are going to be upset coming in here. Who else is going to be really upset? Leon Draisaitl, the German engineering in him is going to want to have a performance where not that he had a bad game, but he just couldn't score. So that all these little underlying things, and look, this is there is a possibility that these two could meet in the playoffs at some point. So big measuring stick game. And I could even at the rink tonight, people were already looking ahead and talking about this Winnipeg Jets team coming in on Thursday as a kind of clash of the Titans, to really see if this progression that we've seen from Edmonton over the past few games is true, and they're able to hang with the big boys. But this league is crazy, man. Yeah. Like Vancouver beating on Winnipeg right now. Like the parity in the NHL is absolutely astounding.
Good competition. That's what we like to see. You got to be lucky. You got to create your own luck, and we'll see what happens on Thursday night. Gager, thank you for filling in for Belsey tonight. We really appreciate it in a pinch. Great work on the panel, and I'll see you tomorrow in the studio.
Can't wait, Tommy.
That is our boy, Joaquin Gage. Great stuff from Gager, and again, a huge thank you to him. Belsey taking care of some family stuff. Cass is away today, and Gager filling in on the breakdown, brought to you by South Fort Chev. Hernan.
Tommy, I want to ask you a question, because Stoff obviously brought it up where it was management kind of talked with the coaching staff about about the usage of the nuclear option. I want to ask you, you've been around pro teams, you were with the Oilers for so many years. Does that bug the coach that management's getting involved and saying, like, I think you're doing this too much. Can you kind of go away for a bit to see how it works? Like, I'm always like kind of interested to see like how those conversations goes. Now, knowing the demeanor and the personality of Kris Knoblauch, I'm sure he's okay with it. But
yeah,
is that something that could lead to maybe saying, well, let me coach my team the way I want to coach?
Yes,
know what I mean?
It could. And does it bug some coaches the wrong way? Yes, but you kind of nailed it. If management went to Todd McClellan or Ken Hitchcock or Dave Tippett and said, "Hey, can you please reassess how you're utilizing 97 and 29? It seems like you're going to it too much." I feel like guys that have been around for a long time in the NHL have coached teams to success would have more of an FU attitude as opposed to Kris Knoblauch, who is thoughtful, doesn't get angry, open-minded, will listen. He might not like what you say, but he'll listen. So I think in this scenario, knowing what I know about the coaches and the management team, I think that Knoblauch would be more open to it than previous coaches.
Okay.
That's how Jay Woodcroft, obviously very proud. Jay Woodcroft, very confident in his abilities. Mm-hmm. I think Knoblauch in his demeanor would handle it with more calm and open-mindedness than even Jay Woodcroft. But I think Woodcroft, considering, that was his first NHL head coaching job, would probably listen and be like, okay, I'll do it. But he'd probably have a few thoughts about it because Jay, again, very assertive in what he does and how he is. But yeah, it depends on the personality, depends on the trust in one another. And you know what, Natso, I don't know for sure. I'm not a mind reader, but maybe even Knoblauch and the coaching staff knew that they were going to the well too much. It's possible.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because it's made a lot of noise around the city, right? And like as much as these guys say they don't read social media or tune in, it gets to them and in one way or in another. So you see what some of the players remark sometimes when they're upset with the media or fan base and all that. So I just found it interesting that that was the case, right? Where they kind of saw it too, kind of like the way we did, where we understand why they go to that option. But I think it was just you're going to it too early, you're going to it too much. Like today, like McDavid, 16 minutes, Tom, that's not realistic because he's the best player in the world. He's going to play a lot, but on a night, on a night like tonight, 16 minutes is what you want McDavid to play and give him some rest. Draisaitl obviously paid more because they were looking for him to extend his streak and get 50 on home ice, but he'll get more opportunities, obviously Thursday and Saturday. But I was intrigued by that. I was just seeing, again, we don't know, Tom. We can only assume, but it's interesting that management kind of brought it up as well.
Yeah. Well, hey, and maybe for the better. So that's okay. Speaking of time on ice tonight, I know they wanted to keep Ekholm a little bit at bay, but that really didn't happen. Bouchard did play the most out of defensemen, 22-54. Ekholm second, 21-27. Nurse, 20-23. Nurse did have the fighting majors, so he was out for 5 minutes. And then Wallman played 20-27. Kulak, 18-33. Troy Stetcher, 14-17. And then, outside of Draisaitl, like the most minutes played by any forward, you had Hyman at 16-11. McDavid 16-46, couple guys, Nugent-Hopkins, Perry at 15 minutes, but everybody kind of spread out and distributed somewhat evenly. The lowest is Janmark at 11:45. I know we were talking about this guy a little bit on the pregame show. Jeff Skinner only played 12:34 +2 tonight, a couple shots. I don't know, they didn't really need him. So I'm assuming they'll roll with these lines again against Winnipeg, and maybe he could make more of an impact, but a lot of other guys were drivers on this night. So no complaints there.
Tommy, was Stetcher just a coaching choice over Emberson?
I don't know. I'm curious. Like, we'll probably hear from Kris Knoblauch at some point. Reid Wilkins will hop on in a bit, but that was a surprise because remember on the pregame show, you and I were talking, we had the lines, and the way that the team was skating today at the morning skate, it was Emberson rotating with Kulak.
Yeah.
And then Stetcher was skating with John Klingberg. You knew Klingberg wasn't going to play. And then all of a sudden, Emberson is out and Stetcher's in at warm-up when we're reading the official lineups from the teams when they emailed them to us. And so that was a bit of a surprise. I don't know if maybe Emberson's nicked up. I don't know if he's sick or what, but maybe we'll get an update from the coach. But in the meantime, we could get to some text. Nanso, do we have any clips?
We do.
Yet?
We have, right now, I have Nuge and Nurse ready to go.
Okay. All right. I'm going to rattle off a couple of texts. Keep those coming in. 780-218-9999 and the nasty chat. Then we'll get to the room. The Juice says, let Joaquin nap. He needs a nap. Yes, the Juice, I agree. We had him for a brief time, but it was excellent. Ryan from Saskatchewan says, I look forward to that day, Hernan. I'm absolutely shocked that information got. What's that going to happen? Janmark scores on a National Hockey League goalie this year. Hernan is smoking a dart on the post-game show, a live dart. Are you going to do that?
What? I'd have to get clearance from the big boss or just do it and then suffer the consequences, Tommy. Imagine just me sitting here and smoke everywhere.
It's a filthy habit, as Ace Ventura once said.
Yeah.
Okay. Dirk says every coach has died on the vine of the nuclear option. Yep, that's true. Norman at Combine. What's up, Norm? Says, hello, gentlemen. Another good win, another good show. Let's go Oil. And doesn't sign text guy says Wallman is making an impact every game. Those blocks are something this team has been missing. Nurse and Wallman have potential to be the perfect second pair. We desperately need even the simple plays like smart dumps were being done tonight as well. A nice game from doesn't sign text guy. Okay, let's go inside the locker room. Nanso, who are we going to first?
How about a guy who had an excellent game, had a good scrap, kind of set the tone early on, Darnell Nurse. Here he is following the game tonight.
Be on it right out of the gate tonight. What do you think maybe allowed you to do that?
Yeah, I think just our full team game. All four lines were rolling. We had to get kills, penalty kill stepped up. Special teams was good all around. So it's nice. It was a good win for us, and it was good. We got in the on the front foot, and Picks made some big saves for us, and we stay on it.
Darnell, what's the significance of only allowing one goal against 3 games in a row?
Yeah, obviously for our group, I think we understand if we want to have the season that we want to have, it's going to come down to defending at the end of the day, and for us to put that together, it's got to continue. I think there's been a lot of good steps, I think, defensively and limiting things to the outside, and then our goaltenders have also been awesome for us the last 3, so got to keep that up.
Darnell, what did you make of the mix on the blue line with Mattias back now and kind of the group at large?
Yeah, it was great. I think obviously Eki and Bush, we're out there and they make amazing plays, and I think just 6 of us as a group, as we continue to get more and more chemistry and mesh, it's really exciting to look at our back end and be a part of it.
You disputed a tilt there with McBain and showed some emotion going down to the room. What happened in the lead up to that fight?
No, it was just hitting. Nothing really.
It seemed like your whole game was with an ounce of aggression tonight, Darnell. Just what's the importance of that as the games start to mean more and more here down the stretch?
Yeah, there's got to be an element of physicality and an element of bite to our game. And I think we definitely have some pieces in our lineup and pieces that are coming into our lineup, and it's definitely something I can bring too. So games like that when it's heavy and there's a little physicality, it's a lot of fun to be a part of.
You guys have been finding your game here, cutting down the goals against, but also maybe more guys feeling it offensively too. To have both those things happening at the same time here, how big is that?
Yeah, I think we just got to continue to stick to the process of our game, and especially on the offensive end. You're going to go through stretches where the puck isn't going in, but as long as you continue to create chances, and the odds will turn out in your favor. So I think for our group, guys haven't been discouraged, and they continue to make plays and play with confidence, and that's got to continue, because at the end of the day, the more chances and that we give ourselves, the more we're going to benefit in the end.
Is this the right time? Sorry, right? Is this the right timing for this group? Like, there's about a month before playoffs here. Your game's starting to ramp. Guys are starting to find their game. Scorers are starting to score. Is the timing looking the way you hoped it would look?
As players and I'm sure staff and everyone that comes into the rink, you hope you have this every single night from puck drop in game 1. So, I think our game is definitely coming, and our group, I think, as we continue to play, and obviously with some new faces, continue to gel, I think our team games can continue to grow. And then obviously you want to head into the end of the season playing your best hockey, and I think we're starting to get there.
You only give up the one, but Cal had a fair amount to clean up and was pretty solid tonight. Just maybe a thought on the games he's been giving you here recently?
Yeah, he's been huge for us. I think, you could go back to, Carolina, some huge timely saves, and, one at the end of the game there, and, on the island, same thing. He made some big saves for us, and then again tonight, there's moments in the game where maybe the momentum can go the other way, and he seems to find a way to hold it for us, and he played great again.
All right, that was Darnell Nurse. Had a spirited night, picked up 7 penalty minutes, a big fight with Jack McBain, +1. 3 shots on goal, 2 block shots, and he said, I don't know, I'm just hitting. 7 hits tonight, 1 giveaway, and overall a pretty good night. 2023 time on ice. You like to see it, him mixing it up. He's having a good year, a really
Great
strong bounce-back year. It is good to see, and a lot of the noise that was around him has quieted down, and as long as he provides that type of play, I think, people generally will be satisfied with him. I know they don't necessarily love his contract, but when you're getting solid defensive play and a guy that gives you a good outlet pass and doesn't screw up in his own zone a ton, people are happy with that. So Darnell Nurse, another nice night for him. Big thing there, Hernan, and I'm glad Reid brought it up. The last couple of games, the Oilers only given up a goal each one.
Yeah, no, that's whoa, man, that's huge for this team. That was kind of, leaking goals a lot in the third as well. They were outscored, 13 straight games in the third period.
Yep.
Well, they're finding their groove, and I know you know what's good about Stetcher getting in the lineup? Let's just say it was a coach's choice. It's competition, man. Stetcher wants to be at his best. He wants to be there game 1 of the playoffs. So does Emberson. So does Klimberg. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be great to see these guys battle it out. And look at the forward group. You got Max Jones, Derek Ryan, and a guy that we're all waiting to see in Trent Frederick. Like the battles for the, bottom 6 or whatever you want to call it, Tom, even the whole forward group outside of the 4 or 5 main guys, there's competition now. And any guy
That's
can
how
be,
it should be.
Yeah, and any guy can sit out at any given time. So I think this is really really good for the Oilers to have this internal competition to see, hey, if you're not going, there's a guy that's ready to go here, and he wants to be in the lineup every game in the playoffs, so you better be at your best.
I like it. It's a good problem to have. Greg, the sound guy, chiming in, says, hey, boys, super nice to have a relaxing win. Only anxiousness was hoping for Leon to get his 50th. Hope that ankle is okay. Great game for the skaters and goalie tonight. Also, no need to... no, this is good. I like this. Greg, the sound guy, talking about... Remember we brought up the audio in the New York game?
Yeah.
And but it sounded washy to him. Could have been a thing between the rink and truck. Hard to put his finger on it, as I really couldn't see the game clearly. But yeah, I had that overly... I don't know how to describe. Washy is how Greg, the sound guy, put it. But just a weird mix in that game. Whatever. They won that game. I think most people, especially if you're in a bar and it was a little bit loud, didn't mind it or didn't even notice it. But I knew Greg, the sound guy, would have some thoughts on that. Shanzi getting into the action. Shanzi texting in saying, I was at the game tonight. Guess what? The Bastards did the wave, and sure enough, immediately after the Oilers got scored on.
Of course.
Hell of a game, though. The boys were buzzing. I haven't seen that type of play out of this team in a long time. That's from Shanzi. Shanzi, yeah, probably, but late January, that 6-2 win on the 25th of January against Vancouver. I think that was a very satisfying win in Oil Country, and then the play obviously dipped big time all of February, essentially. And it's coming back around now, which is good, and it'll ease the nerves of some, and actually a lot of people in Oil Country. I'll make that judgment. Yes.
I'll let the wave slide today because it was a blowout. Our good buddy Derek Van Dies, a quote from Andre from how do you say his last name? The coach.
Tournier.
Yes, this is what he said about Leon Draisaitl playing the full power play up 7-1. He's in front of his fans. People pay to come see him play, and they run their team the way they want to run their team. If that was my biggest problem today, I would take that any day.
Yeah.
So
like in theory, you don't need to pile on. That was a good answer and very diplomatic by Andre Tournier. So, and like I said, they did kind of water down those power plays a little bit for that power play.
Yeah,
a little bit.
And you know what? Maybe for this head coach, it's something he keeps in his back pocket for next season, Tommy. Like, let's just say he gets them one day and they're up 4-5, and he's like, "Oh, remember when you guys played Draisaitl the whole power play at 7-1? I'm going to run my first unit out there." I mean, it is what it is. It's fair game. If you want to do that as payback, go ahead. But I think he handled it right, the way you said it. We also have Nuge and head coach Kris Knoblauch if you want Thomas.
Yeah. Let's go to Kris Knoblauch. I've got a whole bunch of texts to get to after Knoblauch, and then Reid Wilkins is going to hop on for a little bit. The Oilers, 7-1 winners over Utah Hockey Club. Big win for the Oil. Utah was coming on strong in the last little bit, 6-2-2. So this one is an important one, just 2 points back of Vegas. Natso, let's hear from the head coach.
But you still managed to win. Are you just amazed by that continually? Or?
Shocked. I'm shocked how that worked out tonight.
What in particular did you like about what your group brought to the rink tonight?
Well, first, Pick's made some big saves early in the game, which the game could have been different. But he made those saves, and then we kind of took over the game and scored. I think we're opportunistic. We just how things worked out, like the goal that went off Hyman, stuff like that. But I think the first and foremost, that's a fast team that we need to be skating. And I liked some of the goals that we scored just on reloads, back checks, the way we were checking, create some turnovers in the neutral zone, and then we counter with some plays there. So, that's probably the biggest thing I liked was how well we checked, and we did that by skating.
You got a pile of points out of Nugent-Hopkins here the last couple of games. What are you noticing in his game?
I think anytime that a player is struggling or not playing at their highest performance, when you're playing the middle, it's much easier to get your rhythm and feel more confident with your game. And just, you're always moving, you're touching the puck a lot more, and Ryan's a tremendous playmaker. He's got a lot of speed on both wings that are helping him out. But it's nice to see that he's making some nice plays and playing with a lot of confidence.
You guys struggled for a long time to find the game you're looking for. Recently, it's coming together. 3 games in a row with 1 goal against. Starting to go in for some guys that are supposed to be scoring, like Nugent-Hopkins and Arvidsson, and Nurse playing an owly, strong game. Do you see the elements here of the team that you've been looking for coming together?
Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself too early here. Like we had a great game. We outscored a team. We've won 3 in a row, but it's been better than certainly when you look at after the break. We were rock bottom. We played terrible. We were getting outplayed tremendously. And, after those first 3, maybe 4 games, we've been getting better and better throughout that. And it started with our team defense and eliminating chances off the rush. And then once you play better defensively, things will work better offensively. You saw that tonight. The way we're back checking, creating turnovers, countering. So, we've been getting better over these last couple of weeks, but certainly more room to go.
What's the odds if I'd have told you before the game you're going to get 7 and Leon wasn't going to get a point? How's that happen?
Well, Leon could have had about 5 in the second period, the amount of chances he had and the amount of plays that he made. But just a true character. Some players score when it doesn't matter. They're in games out of hand and you score with 2 minutes left to pad the stats. And, you look at the streak and Leon has done none of that. Almost every single game's been a 1-goal game, and many nights he's the only guy on the score sheet. And then tonight, like I said, he certainly had his opportunities. He had a pretty good game. It was unfortunate. It would have been nice for him to get one of those just to go in for him.
How does adding a guy?
All right, there you go. That was Kris Knoblauch. Yes, indeed. Oddly enough, Leon Draisaitl, despite Edmonton scoring 7 goals, does not pick up a point. His point streak has been snapped. He can start a new one on Thursday against Winnipeg. And I think people would be very happy and content with that, including him, if they continue to win and reel in the Golden Knights. That is important. By the way, if you're wondering what is up next for Vegas, the Golden Knights are in action on Thursday against Boston at home. And then what else do they have? They get, they're at home against Detroit. So some easier opponents, quote unquote, but the Golden Knights have had a bit of a struggle lately. 5-3-2 in their last 10. They had their snag in the season before the Oilers suffered theirs, but we'll see what happens. Vegas also losing to Detroit 3-0 over the weekend and in Buffalo in overtime. So that's worth noting as well. Hernan, anything to add to that?
No, it's gonna be great to scoreboard watch. I mean, with the Oilers, it's a little different because are they going to be first, second, or third? Right. I think that's the battle there, and it's always easier and more fun to watch that than the poor Flames, Canucks, Utah, and St. Louis fans that are going to be sweating it here from here up until mid-April when the season ends. So, do you have a preference, Tom, of those 4 teams to make it?
I'd like a Canadian team to get in.
Yeah,
honestly. Vancouver or Calgary, just for the idea of maybe a Battle of Alberta by some miracle.
Yeah.
The more Canadian teams, the better. I know it's kind of neat to see Montreal, who had a big win today, in the mix. Ottawa's been playing good. Obviously, Toronto having a strong season. So that's encouraging. And then out west, if, 3 out of the 4 could make the playoffs, I think that'd be awesome.
Because right now it's looking like two Canadian teams will be out, Tommy. Possibly Montreal, possibly Vancouver, Calgary, and everybody else is pretty much in. Well, Ottawa, I'm kind of counting them in. They're still
same.
They're still holding on, but it's gonna be a great little run here that we're gonna see.
Montreal, after the win today against Ottawa, sitting in the second wild card spot. I know that was supposed to be a big game for the Sens, but the Habs pull out the 6-3 win. So Ottawa in wild card 1 in the East, Montreal in wild card 2, and then you've got Calgary and Vancouver on the outside looking in the Western Conference. St. Louis has slid into wild card 2 at 75 points. The Blues with a 3-game heater. All right, keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. We're going to bring in Reid Wilkins, who just made his return from the rink, work in the locker room. I'm going to read a couple texts before we get to Riedrich. Dirty Curdy says, heart of team comes back, and there were some signs there. Back pick solid now. Let's see how we handle Prosperity. And if we remember the embarrassing home opener, LFG, Tommy, did you hear Stoff mentioning the upper management had to call the split up Connor? Yes, we talked about that. Shaggy in St. Albert says, glad I was wrong. It was a very good game where the game was over halfway through. Depth scoring, Pod goals in. You can say Pod goals in again. And solid defensive play. Got a little goal happy and sloppy after 6-1, but don't want to complain every game. Only thing missing was goal 50 for Draisaitl to get it out of the way. The big question is this the start of them waking up just before the playoffs, or are we going to see 2-2 in the 4-game homestand? Guess we will see what they do against the Jets and Stars. Would like to see at least a 3-1 homestand. That's from Shaggy in St. Albert as Reid joins us. Riedrich, what would you say to Shaggy, who is critical, but tonight pretty much satisfied with the way the Oilers got the job done against Utah?
I didn't hear what Shaggy said. Sorry, I was distracted. Shaggy, I'm sure it was brilliant.
It was good stuff. He's not complaining about.
Sorry, Tom. I was just checking something there.
Oh, were you?
What's this story about splitting up Leon and Connor?
Okay, so on one of the intermission panels with Bob and Joaquin and Gino, I guess Bob mentioned that management might have said something to the coaching staff to split up Connor and Leon a bit more. And that was suggested. That's the first I heard of it, what people were texting in. So I don't mind it. And then we even talked about it earlier, like how would Kris Knoblauch handle that? Would he be receptive to it? And I said yes, compared to some other former Oiler coaches that were more tenured in the NHL, probably would want to have management and higher up stay out of it a little bit more. But I think in this case, like A, they have a valid point, and B, Knoblauch being Knoblauch, I think he would kind of be receptive to input like that.
Well, that's an interesting one. I didn't hear exactly what Bob said, obviously, because we're at the game and not hearing the TV broadcast. I think, usually what people would say, teams would say publicly, especially in hockey, is the general manager gets the players and the coach decides how to deploy them.
Yes.
But I also think you'd have to be fairly ignorant to think that those things happen completely independent of each other or completely in vacuums. They discuss every day. They talk every day. They talk after every game. I mean, when we walk into the Oilers dressing room to go do post-game interviews, Tom, you can see down a hallway. So you come in and then you turn right sort of to go into the Oilers dressing room. If you kept going, you'd walk into the Oilers war room. And a lot of times that the door is open to that room and you can see Knoblauch and Gulutzan and Bowman or Coffey or who's ever in eye line at that table. So they're breaking, they're getting some immediate thoughts on the game. So, so how did that discussion happen? Well, I would doubt that it was a confrontational discussion. I would doubt that Kris Knoblauch was getting disciplined.
No. Yeah.
Still the general manager is the coach's boss, right? So how would that happen? The general manager might say, look, I need to see these players in different combinations, so I need you to figure out ways for them to play without Leon and Connor together, and I know you want to win, and maybe, there's a conversation that's okay. If it's 3-0 after 2 and everything stinks, I get it. I give you the green light, but I would think it would be a constructive, let's share information type of thing, but maybe still with a directive from the GM where he might say, okay, for X number of games, I'm not going to tell you how to put the lines together, but I need to see if some guys can fulfill the skill sets that I think they have, or fulfill or have the skill sets to fulfill the roles that I've brought them into the team to do. So I need to see them in those positions. And then if, they can't do it, then fine. That's on me as the GM to maybe go find you different players at the deadline, or now it would have to be in the summer.
Right.
So that's interesting. Interesting, but it's probably happens more often than we would think to some degree. I think general managers respect their head coaches and know that, okay, they got to make the in-game decisions. But, I think, we didn't see Connor and Leon together today except for one of the most brilliant goals of the season on that set play with the breakout at 3 seconds left in the first period.
That was beautiful. So well executed. Okay. Reid, are they back? Like, do you, because, you talk to these guys as much as I do when we're down at the rink. Do you get the sense that this group is starting to hone it in and build it back up here?
Yes, 100% I do.
Yeah.
And Knoblauch said that in his availability too, about how bad they were defensively a few weeks ago. And, you go back to the start of that road trip with the losses to Philadelphia and Washington, some of the play even before the Four Nations face-off. And then I think there was kind of maybe a slow turnaround, even starting with that loss to Florida, where like it wasn't good enough to win, but it wasn't bad for entire games like we saw. And now we've seen 3 games in a row where they've only allowed 1 goal against. Knoblauch said this afternoon, or I guess after the morning skate, that they try to allow 10 to 12, being in the range of 10 to 12 goals against, or not goals against, 5-on-5 chances against. They want to keep it in that 10 to 12 range, and they were giving up 15 to 20, right? And now it's back down in a more manageable range, makes it a little easier on your goaltenders who've had 3 good games in a row, 2 by Pickard and 1 by Skinner. So I do think that there's a sort of now ramping up and focus on playing better with the playoffs in sight. I thought the Oilers played very well tonight. I thought they pushed the pace. I thought they played with a lot of energy. I thought they were on it early. Tons of guys had chances, even Kapanen, Henrique, players like that we haven't seen around the net a lot necessarily. And I also think, I was thinking Utah was terrible. Like that was, I mean, if they're looking for a team name, maybe they could be called the Pylons, because that's what they look like tonight. A completely passive checking game, no movement, allowing the Oilers to do pretty much whatever they wanted.
What did you tell me when Henrique drew that penalty? Because you said something to me. You're like, it's to the point with Utah where Henrique is walking through.
Oh, yeah.
From the blue line in and getting a score.
Well, yeah, Henrique had a 1-on-3 and he walked through, or maybe a 1-on-2.5, because the forward was kind of trying to apply some back pressure.
Yeah.
And he like even Kapanen going to the net, they turned the puck over and allowed the shorthanded breakaway to Nuge. Even the Arvidsson goal, like a defenseman, and maybe that could have been a slash on Arvidsson, to be fair, but a defenseman just takes a little whack and loses the puck in front of his own net, and Arvidsson shoots it in. So yeah, Utah was. I mean, if there's a 6-goal difference in the NHL, one team played really well, but the other team also had an off night, and Utah.
Yep.
I mean, they can't afford to have many off nights, and I believe it was the worst possible outcome for them, because did not Vancouver, Calgary, and did St. Louis hang on to beat Nashville?
4-1, yep.
So this was the worst possible outcome for Utah. I think I saw a quote from Sean Dursey saying, the sun will come up tomorrow, and we got to get back at it. But they're at the point where 2 or 3 losses in a row, or losing 4 out of 6, and their season's pretty much over.
Yeah, that is true. And the other thing, too, is like the difference between the high that they experienced with that win in Vancouver to the low that they suffered tonight. And it's just a difference of a couple of days where you go from, hey, we're back in it, we're reeling in Vancouver, to, okay, we have a chance. And then you get absolutely just destroyed by the Oilers. And maybe that's a sign that this team isn't quite there, but they are feisty and they have hung in there for quite a bit. And it's pretty encouraging for a franchise that was the desert wasteland that I described them as when they were still the Coyotes. And it's a far cry what they are compared to what they used to be, Reid. So I suppose some encouragement there, but yeah, they got shellacked tonight big time. I want to throw this question at you. Comes in from Coach Mike. Coach Mike says, does any Oilers score a hat trick this season? What say you, Reid?
Yes, because they still play San Jose thrice.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they'll I know it's been a ongoing struggle to score into an empty net. I think eventually they have somebody, either Connor, Leon, or Hyman, with a 2-goal game and a 2-goal lead and an empty net. And they get a hat trick. I thought Hyman was going to do it tonight. Well, I also thought Leon was going to get his 50th tonight. I predicted that in the afternoon. So to me, that's like the safest prediction in the world, picking Draisaitl to score. Is he on a 2-game drought now?
Goals?
Not good, yeah.
Oh, look out.
He didn't score against the Rangers, right? No. But, yeah, I think an Oiler will get a hat. Do we know the last season without a hat trick? Did you mention that a few weeks ago, didn't you?
It was like 1990.
Probably one of the years where there was no scoring anywhere in the NHL. Plus, the Oilers were bad, so they probably scored like 170 goals the whole season or something like that. I say there will be an Oilers hat trick. I try to remain optimistic with stuff like that. I did make back in September, before we had any hockey, Jay and I were joking around on the show, and I did a list of overly optimistic predictions for the Oilers, and I said they would score 10 goals twice in a game. For a while, I thought they would get there today because they were hungry and Utah wasn't putting up a lot of resistance. So we'll see about that. But I'll say there will be an Oiler hat trick by the end of the year.
All right. I like that one from Coach Mike. Okay. The Jets get pankied tonight, as my brother likes to say. They lose 5. Well, they're losing 5-2. They didn't get necessarily spanked, but a commanding good win for Vancouver as they close this one out. You're going to get a feisty Winnipeg bunch, obviously, coming in here for Thursday. Edmonton feeling good about itself, as it should, with this 3-game winning streak. How do you assess what we might see on Thursday night?
6-2 Vancouver. Wow.
Okay.
Suter scored. They got an empty net goal with 4 seconds left.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So okay. Late goals.
So I think we'll see the Jets a little irritated after that game. I mean, obviously they're an excellent team, and hopefully it's a game the Oilers can feel that they can really propel themselves, a step closer to being ready for the postseason. Like, this is an interesting homestand, right? Because you had Utah tonight fighting for a playoff spot. the best team in the league, Winnipeg. Seattle, they have turned into an also-ran Saturday, but you got to take care of business. And then the second best team in the Western Conference, based on tonight's going into tonight, is Dallas, and they're here next week, right? So I think they started Pickard tonight because I think they're going to give Skinner the next 3 games, and then Pickard gets the second half of the back-to-back in Seattle next week. I think that's what they're going to do. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the Jets play. All-Canadian matchup. I'm sure there'll be a good contingent of Jets fans in Rogers Place, so that'll add some energy to it. I don't know how much that 6-0, like that seems so long ago. I don't know if the Oilers will be thinking, oh, they beat us 6-0. They beat us 6-0. I think the Oilers will just more be thinking, we need to play well. And this is right now, this team is the standard in the NHL. So let's see if we can make a statement by playing well against them.
Connor Hellebuck tonight, 16 saves on 21 shots. That is a .762 save percentage. And I know some of our listeners and fans of the Oilers can appreciate those numbers. We'll see what Hellebuck brings to the table on Thursday against the Oilers. Reid, excellent as always, my friend. You know I appreciate you very much. That new suit you were wearing today looked very nice. I look forward to seeing you in studio tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tom. Thanks, Hernan. See you guys tomorrow.
Bye, Reid Rick. There you go. Reid Wilkins, host of the Reid Wilkins Show, right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, Monday to Friday, 3 to 6 with Jay Milne. Jay, I think, is back tomorrow.
No, Thursday, I think.
Oh, whatever. Okay.
I thought it was Wednesday today. I'm so off on my days,
Look
Tommy.
at Jay with these days off. Well done, Jay. Well done. I saw him skiing. That's lovely. He saw he had the girls with him. That's lovely. So good stuff. All right, Nan. So do you want to get to a couple texts and then the player of the game, and we can call it a night?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Let's go to Monty. Monty says, Monty here. It is funny how the last few years the Oilers getting a character win against the Rangers in New York has kicked them into gear, full-on wagon from here on out. As long as they put in the same effort they had tonight against the Jets on Thursday, the outcome doesn't matter. Would love a win against the Jets, but I just want to see the same effort. LFG from Monty. Calgary Glenn says a much-needed trouncing of an opponent by the Oilers tonight. While it doesn't mean that all the things that ail us are gone now, but it's certainly a good morale booster, a great game to continue to build off of. CMAC says Janmark /Kapanen /Skinner. Anytime goal parlay going to hit huge someday. Yes. Troll chiming in. Only complaint would be I hope Draisaitl isn't injured. And Joel said last time Pickard played the January game also by coincidence. I think not. Andrew the account says this game has everything. Even Janmark got a shot on a breakaway. It's funny that we joked about that today. We really did. We really did. All right, let's get to the player of the game, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting, consistent top-producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and area for over 17 years. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Hernan, the Latino Heat. Salas, take it away.
For the second time this season, a player will win it back-to-back. The first one to do it was Brett Kulak. The second one is the Nuge. 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points, +4. 4 shots on net. He was excellent. He set the tone with a shorthanded goal. He's really finding his groove in these last 2 games. You got to give it to the Nuge. A lot of good performances. McDavid was great. Bouchard was a +4. Ekholm was great. I thought Wallman played well. Hyman. There wasn't one player that I can really look at and be like, there was a negative there. But the Nuge, for the second game in a row, wins the Damon Bunting Player of the Game for the agency.
Round of clicks.
Let's go.
The Nuge. Waking up at the right time. Hey, how about Zach Hyman closing in? He might have a 30-goal season.
Yeah.
Not the greatest start. Injured. Busted his nose. Didn't play the other day. And he's put together a solid finish to the year. And if him and Nugent-Hopkins get their butts in gear like it looks like they are, that'll be a huge boost to this Oilers club. So nicely done, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman.
Zach Hyman's probably going to hit 30 goals, though. That's a hell of a season. I
literally just said
still.
That. Yeah.
Oh, did you? Sorry.
Yeah.
It's been a long day. I was just going to say, though, because he was really, 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 really off. You know what it is, Tom? I know we got to go, but It's like I haven't found Zach Hyman to be bad this year. I think he's just been unlucky for a lot of it. Yeah.
A little bit.
Like, I'm not looking at him in the same eyes I looked at Nuge, where it was like, where is Nuge? I didn't have that same feeling for Zach Hyman.
Nuge declaring himself. His agent, Rick Vallette, was in the press box tonight. Rick's a great guy. And maybe somebody said, Nuge, wake up. They need you.
Maybe he heard the shows.
Maybe he heard the shows. Maybe he's a big EST guy. So 6 points in his last 2 games. Got things going with a really nice shorthanded goal tonight. And the Oilers have themselves a 3-game winning streak. Looking to make it 4 against the best team in the league, the Winnipeg Jets, who lost 6-2 in Vancouver. Tonight, we'll see if Edmonton can make it happen. That's going to do it for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream post-game show. Huge thank you, of course, to everybody who texted in, whether it was via the inbox or the nasty chat. If you watched, thank you. If you listened on iHeart, TuneIn, of course, sportstalk.com's audio player. You know we love you and appreciate you. For Joaquin, Gage, Reid, Wilkins, and the Latino Heat, Hernan, Salas, I am Tom Gazzola saying have yourselves a lovely night. We will see you tomorrow. Things get going on EST at 6 a.m. with The Nielsen Show. Ciao for now.